Hello, viewers of Surviving Medicine. Welcome to this very kind of quick video on a book that has been a part of my life for the last 10 years. And I wanted to share a technique from this book. If you've been following me on the channel, you know that I've been injured by medications. I took a very strong corticoid steroid called Prednisone. And I've gone from very healthy body to just very severe and almost chronic health issues now. Like, I think I suffered from every effect that you can get from this medicine. Issues with my liver, joints, mobility, fat redistribution, sense of well-being, everything. And it kind of makes sense when you look into what this medication is. It's super physiological amounts of cortisol on a scale that you would never produce naturally, put into your body, and it's a catabolic pill, so it starts breaking things down. If I'd knew even 1/10 of what I knew now, I would never let this stuff even pass my mouth. So I've had a lot of medical trauma, and a lot of this trauma I've been suppressing and not dealing with, processing bits and pieces, but generally I know for my own health that it's not good to really suppress and not confront what I've been through. And I wanted to talk about the book Letting Go, because it really deals with addressing how we relate and process these emotions. So the author is Dr. David Hawkins. This isn't actually what he looks like. You can find him online. This is an AI photo that was put into the slide. But he was a psychiatrist. He was a researcher of consciousness, a spiritual teacher, and he pretty much devoted his whole life to understanding human awareness and understanding emotional healing. I actually found him 10 years ago because there was something called the map of consciousness, which someone told me about. And the map of consciousness is a scale of frequencies, and it shows where certain emotions sit on that vibrational frequency. And the scale goes from 1 to 1,000. And it maps emotions to a frequency, which can also give you an idea of your emotional state and where you're kind of vibrating. I'll go into that a bit deeper in the book, but the map of consciousness, it was still quite abstract and what I mean by that is it didn't really give me ways of ascending the scale. I don't think you can just say, I'm feeling joy. Like, you have to feel and experience that state. And you have to create the space in your mind and your body to allow those states of being to come in. But his book, Letting Go, was a very practical technique for kind of releasing like negative emotions, which has the effect of then raising your consciousness level and your vibrational state. So what actually is letting go? It's a acknowledgement of an emotion, and it's a surrendering to it, to release it. So surrendering to the resistance of an emotion. So it's not suppressing something and pushing it away and not thinking about it. It's actually surrendering to the energy of that emotion. Again, it's not defeat. It's a very positive thing, and it's very nurturing, and it's a path to creating a space inside and creating inner peace, which then allows for growth. you can imagine it like a foggy window, and as you release like emotions or blocks, more light is able to come through that window and shine, which ultimately takes us back to our natural state, because there's a lot of things which really create these blocks inside of us. And I think medications, we're taking something which is synthetic, which is also changing our hormones, our mental state, our biology. So we're in a state that we probably, it's more amplified than what people would be in even naturally. But again, it's a process of helping to kind of get us back to a natural state of peace. There's a difference between suppressing an emotion and surrendering to an emotion. So when we suppress things, we're basically pushing them down. There's another famous psychologist called Carl Jung, and he talks about the shadow. You may have heard of this. It's where we kind of divide ourselves, and we push the things that we don't like about ourselves into the shadow. And that shadow becomes a weight which we carry. And so we can sometimes suppress and push emotions down, but this requires constant energy. Like, imagine pushing on like a big coil spring with like your both hands, a really powerful spring, and you're having to hold that down. That's requiring a lot of energy, and it can create a lot of internal pressure. And this then just leads to a whole host of physical and emotional illnesses. So it's not as if we don't have enough to deal with daily life and the effect that medications are having on us. We've then got this internal pressure inside, which we're not addressing. So surrendering is different. Surrendering is about like acknowledging this feeling, allowing it to arise, and then as it arises, it will release itself naturally. This then creates a space after it's been released, and that space is for you to heal, and this then leads to a greater awareness. So we talked about ways of dealing with feelings. So suppression is pushing them down. So it's that kind of like, yeah, I'm doing okay, when you're actually clearly fucked. Pushing down can be just bottling up anger about a situation, anger about a medical appointment, or anger about like being gaslit, or anger about the effect this medication has had on your body, or angry about your life not being what it should have been, and then like bottling that up. Another form of suppression is just denying sadness, not allowing yourself to be sad, is again a form of just like putting it into like a box, and then just like it's not being processed. Other ways are expression. So again, some people will like just get angry and they'll vent and they'll go crazy. You may know people like this, or you see them in films, or crying dramatically, or taking that frustration out on others. You see this in when they talk about bullies in school. They're being abused at home, and they're taking that anger out on, like, the frustration out on other people. They're not dealing with it. Again, with synthetic compounds, I'm not an angry person. I really it takes a lot to get me angry, but I felt surges of anger after coming off these cortisol meds, which again was foreign to me. I could feel an energy there, and I didn't know how to deal with it or process it because it was overpowering. So this is something maybe to talk about in another video. These are not naturally, obviously the feeling is being produced through your body, but it's been like biologically induced, like externally through something else. It's like pressing the gas on full, like, holding the gas pedal down, like on full throttle. So there's that expression, and then the other way is escape. So it's avoiding things, which is what I've been doing for the last 6 months, and I thought it was healing me, when in fact it's not. I'm just escaping and avoiding confronting what's happened to me. So ways that we escape is just like binge watching. Some people will resort to substances or actually like take other medications from doctors. They may give you like this pill, that pill. Like just avoid it. Don't process it. Just take this to pacify yourself, right? Workaholism. So for me, I've just been working on tons of projects just to keep my mind off me and what's happening to me. And some of it's been positive. It's not a bad thing, but I don't think it's been healthy. So there's the escapism. The challenge is things like expressing and escaping. It doesn't resolve those emotions. They're still going to be there. So when you have anger and you vent it, it can often increase that anger as opposed to releasing it. I run a support group on Facebook. I wanted to create a space for people to be able to vent, but you can also get in a cycle of venting and it's not resolving, and it can increase. I've noticed that with me a little bit, with just a kind of researching and then getting angry about like medical institutions. And I want to talk about this a bit later in the video because, again, I think we're allowed to acknowledge an anger, and we're allowed to be angry about something, but it's how you feel that emotion and how you deal with that emotion. Is it good for you? Is it beneficial for you in your health? Again, expression can create that dependency on others, so you feel like the only way to release things, even though you're not releasing it, but you feel the only way to kind of like get this out is to just dump it onto others. Basically, you create dependency then on somebody else. It can damage relationships and create guilt. And generally with expression, David Hawkins talks about like the energy returning. It wasn't never released. It actually comes back. Releasing it means it's gone. And then there's the escape part. So that provides temporary relief, but the emotions come stronger. So in my situation, I've been working on loads of projects to distract myself from what's actually happening to me. And then when I'm back and sitting in my own space, all of these emotions and all of these feelings and dread and everything and how I feel about my body just come back, and I can sometimes get pushed down further. So why do we hold on to emotions? I don't think I was ever taught as a kid. Was never taught how to deal with like emotions. I think that's probably a challenge with my family as well. Like they weren't very introspective themselves, and yeah, I just never had conversations about my emotional well-being with them. Not that they would probably know how to deal with it or explain anyway. But there's many reasons why we hold on to emotions, and we feel that it's just how we deal with things. It becomes just a way that we deal with things. But negative emotions, it's energy that is like suppressed, and it builds that inner pressure, as I said earlier. And then you make this reservoir of like unprocessed feelings that really can affect our health and happiness. And while we're trying to kind of get our health back from medications, we need to do everything we can to support the environment of our body, even more so than other people. This is the cross that we have to bear. Like, we have to be even more proactive than people who haven't been like iatrogenically attacked, really, or violently attacked by medications. This stuff doesn't exist in nature in this form. It's been made in a lab. But yeah, that resistance to feelings, it can create like an ongoing stress, illness, and unhappiness as we put energy into fighting what we already feel. When you step back and think about this, it makes absolute sense. We're putting energy into fighting what we already feel. So letting go just releases like all of that pressure. and it frees us to let other things in. It frees energy for joy and healing, which was previously there just to maintain like emotional barriers that we're holding up. Some of the physical costs of holding on to this energy is, again, like tightness in our muscles, headaches, restricted breathing, issues with digestion, energy depletion. These are things that prednisolone does anyway, like on a physical level. So we're battling, our body's battling this kind of physical state, and then we have this emotional state on top of it. And I'm still figuring this out, but I know there needs to be balance after the body's recovered and mentally. So what is the process of letting go? So David Hawkins actually only devotes like a paragraph to this thing in the book. It's quite easy to miss. But it's just the most important part of letting go. So step one is to acknowledge that emotion, like fully, like no judgment, no analysis of what it is. Just acknowledge it, let it arise, and then name it. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling fear. I'm feeling grief right now. Just name it, but don't judge it and do not analyze it. Step two is that allowing part. Allow that feeling to be present. It can be scary to let it just engulf you. You've been pushing it down, away, suppressing it, or trying to release it in other ways, through like maybe expressing it. But actually allow yourself just to be present in that energy and just observe it as energy in motion. It has a vibration, it has a frequency, and you're going to feel it. And when you feel it, try to identify like where in the body it's actually located without resistance. Just feel it. Where is it? Is it in your chest? Is it in your stomach? Is it in your head? Is it in your neck? Like where is this located in the body? Just feel its location. And then step three is the surrendering. Okay, surrender that resistance to the emotion that you're feeling. Just don't fight it. Like let go of any need to control this feeling. Just let it arise. And then step four is just to feel the release, the shift towards peace. Dr. Hawkins says that it takes around 90 seconds to release an emotion. It can't stay held for too long. It has to then release. So as you sit with it, feel it release and feel that shift towards peace, and then notice there's a sudden spaciousness that remains after it's gone, after it's been let go. You're creating space for other things. You're creating space to use energy in other ways. I hope that was useful. I'm going to talk a bit about the map of consciousness very quickly. So this is how, again, as I said earlier, how I found letting go. But the map of consciousness basically maps emotions to levels of energy. So like apathy is like level 50, whereas like joy is like level 500. So I've definitely been here a lot. Been feeling hopeless. I know some of it has been induced chemically, but also just where my state has been. This is not a good place to be, because this is, when you go too low, you're dead, basically. So some emotions can be useful in a way. These are called survival emotions. You're living in survival, but you can move up. You have to move up through emotions to get to that higher state. So you might be feeling like hopeless, and it might be some anger about your situation, which then forces you to kind of move up into like pride. So like some of the emotions in a small way can be useful. Again, that's the topic for another video. But really we want to release this and leave space for this. This is where we kind of want to be. I can go into this again in another video. But as I said earlier, like, we can be stuck in these low level emotions, which are not good for us. So that surrendering, letting go of that grip, I like that energetic grip on that consciousness. And then we rise up to courage. And there's this gateway to growth and positive energy, and then we access these higher states. So this is my journey right now. I hope this video has been useful in some way. And again, I recommend the book, or there's tons of YouTube videos on this online.